All right, joined now by Scott Vail, caddy for Keegan Bradley, winners at the ZOZO. Congrats, my man.
Thanks, Rathouz. What a run! It was an amazing week. I think just the realization of everything has just kind of started to settle in. Yesterday, kind of when I arrived back in the States, it was the realization just hit, and it's just been incredible. It was just a fantastic week, and what better country? It's one of my favorite places, Japan. So awesome.
Yeah, I have some questions for you about that because I've never been. But first, I mean, we were just talking off camera. When I texted with you yesterday, you said you felt like you were probably still over the middle of the Pacific Ocean somewhere. I mean, the time change is a big deal there. Flying west a little easier than coming east. How did it affect you? And then just maybe as a general question, how do you think it affects players, like Keegan? Have you ever noticed anything with the time changes and stuff?
I think I always think the first day back or the first day there during a time change is when they struggle the most. The club kind of feels weird. You kind of feel jet lag kind of makes you feel like a little bit like you're almost drunk or you just don't feel right. You don't feel balanced or anything. So I think the first day there, the first day back are always kind of the tough days, and you kind of gotta gut through having naps and try to get on a similar schedule to the time zone that you're in as best as you
Mhm.
can,
Yeah.
and grind it out. Going to Japan, you're only there for 5 days, so I think that's easier with a short trip because you won't get quite into their time zone. For me, I don't even bother fighting it. I just go to bed when I'm tired if I'm not working, and I'm up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm just like, oh, I've got 5 days of this. Let's just gut it out.
Right.
Coming back here is a little bit different. You got to try to do it, but I find coming east is harder than going west for me in particular, and I think
Yeah.
that's generally the rule of thought. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you gutted it out last week really nicely. I mean, it was you and Keegan's first win together. I think I'm right on that. And you guys have been knocking on the door for a few years. And then he was quite emotional. It was his first win in 4 years.
yeah, I think he was emotional for a number of reasons. He knows how all the work he's been putting in. I mean, he's since BMW, he wasn't really happy with the way he finished the year. And he took a look at himself in the mirror, and everybody in the team really did, and made some changes. And he was in the gym working out and lost a bunch of weight and was determined. And I think the other thing was that his family. This is the first time he's won with both boys.
Mm.
Cooper, his youngest, wasn't born yet when he won last time in the BMW, and I think probably the emotions of how supportive his wife is,
Hmm.
and all clearly that's what he said in his interview, and he's bang on. She lets him, do what he does, and I think probably the emotions of them not being there and being able to share it with them right away. This probably had something to do with it. If I were to hazard an educated guess on that.
What was there something that you kind of changed in that reflection period? I mean, you said kind of everybody on the team kind of took a look in the mirror. I mean, was there a different approach you employed, starting the new season or anything?
I mean, to be honest with you, I try to get in a little better physical condition myself, and wanted to, I think if you're in better physical condition, mentally you're stronger, you're better, when the chips are on the line, and feel like you can, take on more. So I kind of did that, and kind of followed his lead. To be honest with you, he was
Hmm.
giving me updates on the time off, what he was doing in the gym, and what getting up early, and it motivated me. To be quite honest with you, he's at the end of the day. I think of these guys as CEOs of the company and they're leaders. Some are great leaders. Some maybe need help in being a leader, and I look at him as a CEO of a multi-million-dollar business,
Yeah.
and I follow his lead when he leads.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of motivated me quite a bit, to be honest with you.
Hmm. What was the celebration like? Was there any Sapporos drank afterwards?
Yeah, there were some Sapporos drank for sure. I packed him up and he was doing his interviews and I managed to snag a couple of Sahis in the clubhouse. I couldn't find any, but I went to quite funny. I actually went to the rules officials. They've got like a boardroom there, and I went there figuring, hey, if there's no place that has beer, I wonder if they'll have some. So I went in there and I saw a 6 pack of Asahi on the table, and I opened the fridge and there were 4 left, and I grabbed them and away we went. And for our journey back to the hotel and had a quick shower and went out to unbelievable dinner, a Japanese steakhouse that we went to a couple of days ago, and had some. We didn't have sake, but we had some really good red wine, and some beer and some more beer. And I don't think Keegan was feeling that good the next day. I wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some celebration, some good steak, and some good laughter, and yeah, it was amazing.
You mentioned you had been to Japan before. I've never been. I'm super jealous. I mean, I'd love to make it over there sometime. You mentioned some of the color from the week off the golf course. What were you up to throughout the week? Is it just? It's probably pretty cool to just kind of experience such a different culture.
In my opinion, I just think the Japanese culture is just the most amazing. The people are, bar none, the nicest country I've ever been. So respectful, so clean. Just want to do everything for you from the time you. I mean, it's just like all these. I could give countless examples. There was a time where we were out for dinner on Friday, and I had spilt my glass off the table by mistake, and of course it broke. And they come running in, and oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, it's my fault. And and the gentleman that was our waiter was like, no, 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 I'm so sorry. The table's too small. The table's too small. I'm like, these people are unbelievable. Everything's their fault when it was clearly nothing to do with them. He's blaming it on the table being so small. I
That
mean,
guy would be a good caddy, probably, huh?
that's that. You know what? That's exactly what I said. These people, they'd be unbelievable caddies. It'd always be their fault. I'm so sorry you missed that 3 foot putt. That's my fault. That's funny you said that because that's exactly what I had said that
Yeah,
night after that little incident had happened. But
that's funny.
yeah, it's a cool spot. It really is. The people make it, and then if you're a sushi fan, which I am, good Japanese beer and great Japanese steak, which I'm a fan of as well. So
Yep.
I'm a fan of all of them. So I love the country. Once I got home yesterday and realized, the significance of winning, I thought how special it was to win in probably like my favorite country to visit.
Yeah.
Um, so it was cool.
That's a cool flag to get. Was there anything that you said throughout the week to him on the golf course that you're particularly proud of?
No, nothing that I said. It was just one of those weeks when you look back at it, and there were some moments that that you could feel, and looking back at it, he just had this unbelievable calm demeanor about him that week, and he was playing really, really good. He's been putting it unbelievable for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Not just like he's fluked into a hot week. I mean, he's been putting it unbelievable, and he was really striking it well, and he was driving the ball well, and it was a perfect golf course for hitting high draws off the tee. And he just had such a calm demeanor. I didn't really have to say much.
Yeah.
Just if he made a bogey, which he didn't make many of, he was patient. He got off to some slow starts on a few days. On Saturday and Sunday, he hit really good putts. Through the first 4 or 5 holes. There was nothing I really had to say. Maybe
Yeah.
just joke. I mean, we have such a great time on the golf course together. When he hit it in that bunker on 16, and I mean, I could see him opening the face up, going for, I mean, he really had nothing to work with, and he boned the shot and hit it to 60 feet, and I'm like, he's looking at the golf ball to see if it's still playable. And I didn't say anything then. I said, let's just get this two putt and like get out of here. And we're walking off the green, and I mentioned maybe he might need a new golf ball. That one looked like it was borderline smiling at us. Something along the lines of that, and we had a chuckle, and then it was back to business. But yeah, it was just one of those weeks that his demeanor was just really good, and he was confident, and he was comfortable. What can I say?
Yeah, he has been putting so much better. I mean, you've been seeing it up close in person, but I've noticed his stats, particularly on bent grass. So it's nice to see it all come together in a win. A few questions about this week. Congaree, sounds like the golf ball's bouncing everywhere. Kind of an Australian sandbelt kind of course. What are your thoughts on the golf course? Seems like it's vastly different than last week. And then, kind of, what are you going to have to do at a high level this week to contend from a player standpoint?
Yeah, it's an interesting golf course. It'll be interesting to see how they have it set up because it's quite long, and it's been cold, so obviously the ball's not going to go as far. So I'll be interested to see how they set the course up tomorrow. I think it's like 7,600 yards maxed out. And would play longer than that, I think, just based on the coolness with even a little breeze. I think the fairways are super wide. It's fairly easy off the tee. Forgiving, and what you see is what you get. Right, it's right in front of you. But the approach shots is where it's at. There's like lots of pockets and greens and lots of runoffs, that go, off downhills, and where you can putt them off the green from 30 feet. And it'll be interesting. I think it's a second shot approach. Ball striking is going to be important. Hitting greens is going to be, hitting greens is obviously always important.
Yeah.
But, I think, just hitting the middle of greens is going to be really good. I don't think the scores are going to be that low because I think it is quite difficult. So,
Yeah, the director of golf, I heard him talking today. He was thinking that it'd be hard for guys to get to double digits in the end. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It's kind of probably going to be the last big field of the year in terms of strength. I mean, there's a ton of the top players there this week. What's the feeling been like on the range so far this week? I mean, you're at all the big events, but what's it like when you're at an event where all the top dogs are there for the most part?
It's fun. It's always fun to play against the best in the world, and it's fun, just to be around them and feel their presence really, because a lot of them do have a presence about them when they get to the golf course. It'll be fun to play with. Tomorrow we play with John Rahm and Justin Thomas, so it's nice we're back in the winners category. So
Yep.
we're back playing with, not to take anything away from the Lesters, but like these guys are the top of the class for a reason. So there'll be a different vibe in our group for us moving forward for the next few years here in that category. So it'll be amazing. Looking forward to it and embracing it.
Yeah. Well, one more and we'll get you out of here. I mean, we had some really sad news come across earlier this week. I got a call from Pepsi Steve on Monday morning, and he said, a good friend of ours, a longtime caddy on tour, Doug Tyla, passed away. I know he's somebody that, you were close to, you worked with, throughout the years, shared a lot of meals with, I'm sure. Just any thoughts on D-Bear?
Yeah, that was just quite sad news. D Bear was, I first started caddying, on the Corn Ferry Tour, 15 years ago or so. He was out there, and he was worked for Ryan Armour forever, and he was one of the guys that we would play practice rounds together. We'd travel together, and when you were in Ohio for Akron, when we graduated to the PGA, his parents would have you over, and his parents were just such lovely people, such a great family, and it's really is sad news to lose such a lovely, wonderful guy just this early in his life. Like he was too young to be gone from us. So just thoughts and prayers are with him and his family and everybody around him. The golf community and the caddies. We've lost a unbelievable guy. So really sad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's good perspective, and I always remember his booming laugh, and I know I think maybe betting on his Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend might be a good idea. He's probably going to be up there, pulling some strings. So, hey, Scott, thanks for taking some time out of your. Go get some rest. Make sure you set your alarm. Okay, I want you to make sure you're out there on time.
Sounds good to me, Rathouz. I appreciate your time. Keep doing all that great work you're doing, and hopefully I get to see you soon again. Because whenever I see you, it means something's good's happening.
Sounds good, my man.
Cheers, pal.